The fact that there's no color makes it feel very somber, and the fact that they don't really have a face is very, it feels more powerful than if they'd given them very clear features, because there's so much character in the way they move and and what their like actual forms are made of.
Okay, hello, please introduce yourself.
I'm Haley. I'm an animation major at Loyola Marymount University.
My name is Gabe Dimahiba. I am studying animation.
I'm interested in visual development, and I'm looking at different types of animation currently. So I'm trying to decide whether I want to do visual development or storyboard.
And so basically you specialize in both 2D and 3D animation?
Yeah, I prefer working in 2D for the final product to be 3D.
I'm not at animation school yet. I used to study architecture at the University of Oregon, but they didn't have that as a major over there. So I'm just at a community college locally right now before I transfer to either CSU Long Beach or Fullerton in the fall.
For people who can't name the different kinds of animation, can you explain the difference?
So I'll go for three main types of animation. The first one is 2D, where it's usually done by hand. Nowadays, it's also done digitally. There's also claymation. I don't really see as much of it, but it's definitely still popular. And it's when they use frame by frame snapshots of clay pieces that are connected together by wire. And then finally, there's also CGI, which is one of the most popular ones right now, especially Disney. And that's done by creating 3D models and then writing them to produce animation. And it's a lot more smoother than 2D because 2D is usually done on 2s, while 3D is done on 1s, I believe.
You can do animation on 1s or 2s, and you can do 3s for very, very specific actions, but usually to make something look like it's moving, like in a way that flows and looks like reality, you need to have 24 frames a second, and you need to have it on 2s or on 1s. For fast action, usually you need 1s because you need to show each moment as it's happening. Oh, 1 frame. 1 frame drawn, 1 frame drawn, 1 frame drawn, or you can have 2 frames. So you have 2 frames that are the same drawing and then 2 frames that are the same drawing. So that way you're saving time. So when production companies want to cut down on the amount of drawings that they have to do, so the amount of time and money they're spending on each one, they'll do more than 2 frames. So they'll do 3 of the same drawings, and then that just cuts down the amount of drawings you're doing. The only drawback is then it just looks like it has less time put into it and it looks less natural.
So you're a K-pop fan, aren't you?
Yeah.
Who are your stans?
I used to like a bunch of them. Like I used to just when I first got into it, I liked a bunch of bands, but now I just like 17.
So first you're reacting to Hyukoh, which is a K-indie boy band. So they aren't necessarily part of like the K-pop scene. And this is their release called Tomboy, which was animated by Park Gwon-soo.
I will press play. So I like how right off the bat it starts with the movement of their characters instead of the song.
So this definitely looks a lot more traditional. I really like the use of ink washes, so I think this is telling me that it was done on paper and then scanned through.
And this is animated on 3s actually. I went through and checked, or at least that's what the frames show, but for some reason it looks a lot smoother because of the style. I feel like he really owned up to the fact that it was going to be a rough animation, so like the line quality looks like more traditional art, but it looks very intentional. So the fact that it's on 3s is okay because you sort of expect like a more rough motion with a rougher line quality. That's just what your brain will expect. This looks more like, this is very experimental. It looks a lot more like stuff you'd see at like Cal Arts or indie animation festivals. So I think it fits with the fact this is an indie boy band.
Yeah, you can tell that it's definitely some kind of like ink wash or marker.
And surprisingly, they're dancing, even though it's on 3s. It's so in tune with the song. Like at the beginning when they're swinging their feet, like it looks like it hits those beats perfectly. And I like how, since they didn't have a lot of color to work with, or they had no color to work with, they just had value and they had line quality. They're not afraid to do a bunch of different styles of line, even though they might look more rough and less polished than people are necessarily expecting from animation. So it looks like someone just flipped through their sketchbook, and I think that matches well with the song.
I wonder if they recorded videos of them dancing before doing this, or if they just animated straight through. Because another thing that animators can do is that they can overlay the animation onto the actual video, and then just delete the original video so you can get the motion sort of clean.
And the fact that there's no color makes it feel very somber, and the fact that they don't really have a face is very, it feels more powerful than if they'd given them very clear features, because there's so much character in the way they move and and what their like actual forms are made of.
It's interesting how at the beginning of the video, they started up more like black scribbles, and towards the end they end up being more lighter ones.
I think that even though there's a lot of line variety and sometimes it feels very chaotic because it's cutting to so many different shots of animals that are seemingly unconnected, at the end it kind of comes together by showing them dancing together again. So I think that there's still enough consistency to where it doesn't feel too chaotic. Like with all the lines, there's still sort of a recurring pattern, which is them dancing together. And I like the fact that all the different line qualities are in the same frame towards the end, because it shows that it's not just an inconsistency in animation style, it's a very deliberate choice to characterize them by the way they're drawn rather than specifics of how they look. So it's a nice sort of abstraction on typical character design, which is usually like an anime or animated shows. It's very much based on a realistic figure with very extravagant clothing. Here it's more about their actual forms and how the forms move in the texture.
I like your comment on the lighter scribbles showing up towards the end, because this song is supposed to be about out of the two sides of youth, the vocalist expressed the depressing side and everything is unfamiliar and strange, but he still wants to succeed, and he tried showing the feeling of being stuck in between those two thoughts, so maybe.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, because it seemed like there was a lot of symbolism in this video. I'm not sure what some of the parts were. I think there's a contrast between the praying mantis, which is sort of this like predator, and the deer, which is the prey, right? So that could be another two contrasting points. But yeah, I think you said this was an indie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the use of more traditional and like scribbles, that also reflects their sort of like tone of music as well. Their music, it's a lot more different from normal K-pop. Is this considered K-pop or?
No, because since they're a band also, so they're like a K-indie rock band.
K-indie, okay, yeah. So yeah, that definitely reflects their style that they're going for. It's a lot grungier, a lot of scribbles. So yeah, I think it definitely reflected the tone that I was going for.
Oh yeah, then I think the animators did a good job of expressing sort of the motifs in the lyrics, and they took like the imagery expressed in the lyrics and then put that into an animation pretty well. So like the fact that he feels like he's burning but still wants to interact with nature, the world around him. I think a few times he accidentally sets fire to a few things. So and there's a lot of imagery of different parts of the forest burning, so even though he's trying to dance with other people and succeed as the lyrics say, he still is on fire the whole time, is still suffering. But even though I think it's very powerful then that they opened with the two figures dancing. It's a very lighthearted like step, but at the same time one of them's on fire. So I think that just pretty clearly sums up what the song is about and the feeling of it.
Now you're reacting to a solo artist named Luna, who is actually part of a group called 4X. FX. Part of a group called FX, but then she broke off into do her own solo, which is called Free Somebody. And the animation director is Young-ho Kim, and the other people who helped out with the animation are
Sin-young Jaeong, Bom Kim, Sehum Kwan,
and
Soko Sin.
Should I press?
Go ahead.
Okay. Ah! So right off the bat, this is animated on ones. Like I went through like with the comma and the period, so you can scroll through frames. So it's really smooth animation. But like as you can see with the hand, like when it started like shrinking, it's not drawn in a way that's like rendering a 3D form. So you can already tell this is going to be like a very sort of flat, like outline based animation. So it's going to be kind of like stylish. I think they did that to save time and money, but like it works, so it's fine. Like, the song's cool.
Okay, here's the animation starting. Okay, it has a very graphic look to it. It reminds me of a lot of street art.
It's nicely like rotoscoped, and how they I liked how they stylized her eyes in terms of like design, like to heighten her allure, and I like how the 3D plane sort of moves.
I really like the use of motion blurs. That's when they smear certain aspects of the animation to make it convey a sense of motion.
But like with the lips, when the lips were moving, it doesn't quite hit all the musical beats, so I think it doesn't have the impact. Like when you animate musicals, like dancing, it's supposed to be 4 frames ahead at least. Oh no, at the most it can be 4 frames ahead so that it doesn't look like it's hitting it late, and these, like, it was kind of off, but like, it's pretty. And so I guess she's like, yeah, she's going in the elevator with him. Oh, that's spicy. And then I like how it's continuing the motif of rotating like it was with the planet that was animated to show like time passing through the night. So it's very consistent between the live action and the animation, which some don't do. Again, you have like the disco ball spinning and the camera. She's getting all sexy with her DHL shirt.
Okay, so it looks like they're overlaying the animation. Do you see this in music videos? I guess the one from the top of my head is Hard Times from Paramore. It's when they basically just put animation on top of the video.
I like how, I wish they'd done more of that with the 2D looking like it was a part of the background, because here the animation gets really rough, and I think that was a part of that was a very bold stylistic choice to do this, but I don't quite think it works. Like when they were running, it was super choppy. I think it was animated on like the 3s. It didn't quite look right. Like there's no weight to their forms. It's all very like 2-dimensional. So it's like their outlines are moving.
Also color-wise, their outfits match like the bright colors of animation as well.
So I like how the outlines kind of went over the elevator, but now the animation gets weird. So if you go frame by frame, it doesn't move as a form. Like the outlines just kind of change. And then that's a metaphor for them hooking up. But it's not very deep, but it works.
So yeah, basically, did you feel like the animation in this music video added to or took away from
it was very bright, especially I think the overlaying was a good method for this type of music video, where I think certain aspects just like pop out as an extra pizzazz to what's already on. Because it's like I said, it's already a bright video, so I guess adding something to complement that was very cool.
If you go frame by frame, I know this is because of budget. Like, disclaimer, everything I'm saying, I know that animation is not usually used in music videos because of the budget, because of the time, because especially K-pop is supposed to be such a fast-paced, like, basically assembly line of music production. Like, we all know that. So the fact that they're even using animation is really impressive because it's just so hard to make it look good. Like, it either looks good or it doesn't. There's no cheating it, like, as you can tell. Like, even when you do try to cheat it, if you don't cheat it correctly, it's gonna look weird. So just, going frame by frame. It's animated on ones, which I think they did to make it look smooth, but now that I keep scrolling, it looks like they did it to save time, because the ones aren't making each frame look smoother. They're just packing more action in a short amount of time. So I feel like there isn't as much there isn't follow through. It's just sort of a bunch of snapshots. It's like if you took a video and you screenshotted every second. So there would be motion, but you'd kind of miss those in between moments that would show like the weight or the follow through or something. Like this octopus is just kind of jumping around. And then the octopus is also moving independently from the rest of the background. So they're not in a cohesive sort of flow together. They don't interact together, so it looks a little flat. However, I think, like I said, this was because of budget, so they were smart to use consistent colors with the live action, so it looks more put together. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay, ready to move on?
Yep.
So next is a collaboration between a K-pop artist named Onu and a K-indie jazz artist named Ijina, and their song is called Starry Night. So I wrote down the director, producer, 3D supervisor, artwork, 3D animation, 2D animation, modeling, and compositing for this, but basically they had 4 people do the 3D animation and only 1 person work on the 2D animation, Shinyeon Kim. So basically, the overall, I guess, theme for the song is just wanting to find a friend in the darkness or a star to light your way.
Okay, go. Oh, it's so cute. Oh, I got a cat.
Oh, whoever animated this really know how to do their silhouettes well. I guess when it comes to 2D animation, silhouettes are very important of conveying sort of just like the style, I guess. I really like the use of 3D and 2D together. I think the colors as well, it makes it look like a lineless art style.
I think since they wanted to keep it a very simple style, I think their strength was using some of the analogous colors, and then so using green, blue, but then also having, I don't know, it's a very harmonious like color scheme. At the same time, it feels kind of unconventional. I like how they have her going about her daily life. They have him going about his daily life too, in a sort of surreal landscape. So instead of just showing them, because it could be really boring, it could just be them going about their daily routine, like, I don't know, getting coffee or something throughout the day, or at night, since it's about them finding each other at night. And it could just be like a regular room, but instead they're using abstract setups where they're using the same window, and they're clearly in different places, but they're choosing to represent the distance between them by having them on opposite sides, upside down. So you know, like, that's clearly not possible, but at the same time, it's more interesting than cutting to her and then cutting to him in different places.
That transition though.
I really like this part too, where she's going down the roller coaster, because he takes all the shapes that you've seen in her daily routine, but you're making them into patterns, and then you reveal that he's next to her. So it's just taking all the visual cues that you've seen throughout the video, and then all the stars that you've seen like from her copy machine, but then putting them in a more exciting setting, so you know that this is the culmination of all of those small feelings that they feel throughout the night. Oh. And then I think her finding all the stars in the closet is sort of them, I think, realizing all those feelings. Like, it feels like they're finally realizing how much all those moments mean to them, which is pretty cute.
Right.
So it's pretty simple, but I think it works well.
Yeah, it's talking about, like, if I become the dark night, be my star. Will you be my twinkling star across the silent night when everyone's asleep? Be my friend, be my friend. How nice would it be if dreams came true, if I could be with you like the stars that come at the end of a long day, if only I could see you. Yeah.
Oh. I think then it's about, I don't know, it's probably about them being friends and then ending up finding each other. Like, all the stars are sort of, like, just visually, all the stars are, like, creeping into their life, like, and they're kind of in denial, so, like, they're going about their daily routine, but they're in this, like, cosmic apartment with everything, like, floating at first, and then he's walking down, like, a galactic staircase, so they're pretending everything's normal, but then she's taking a bath in a bunch of stars, so that shows how they don't quite admit or realize their feelings for each other, how they make each other feel until the very end.
Nice. And so would you say this is mainly 2D or mainly 3D animation?
This looks like, so a lot of this, there's a lot of compositing happening, but there's also a lot of 3D. So I feel like a lot of it, the figures look like they were modeled are 3D figures. There's just too much consistency like when her arm moves at the when she puts down the phone. Like that's such a hard thing to capture with the silhouette if you're just drawing it 2D. The lines are too straight, but at the same time it doesn't look like a paper cutout because of the way that her forearm kind of comes forward. So yeah, it looks 3D, but then it looks like they flattened it. I could be totally wrong. There's some things that look 2D, like the little pendulum could be 2D just because it's flat. Or that could be composite, like they just created flat layers in After Effects and then layered them.
The transitions are really clean and nice right here. I think the part where she's going on the roller coaster, that was a very cool scene. The way it spirals through, and then I guess the circles in the background that spiral through add depth. So that's a cool thing about 2D and 3D line art when you combine them together. You can create a greater sense of depth, and then you can't. It just depends on how you utilize it, I think.
Wow, cool.
I gotta know now if you're really down, 'cause where there's smoke there's fire.